Yeah. Look at the structural breakdown. No jewelry or designer fabrics can save the reputation tonight. We take away the exterior illusions completely, down to the absolute anatomy. Look. Visualizing the clinical laboratory where the face get exposed. Stripping down the rival operator till the truth is disclosed. The flesh and bone concept is a brutal presentation of the fact, shattering the artificial confidence before the main act. I peel away the expensive layer of the designer leather coat, exposing the fragile internal frame that the industry wrote. The counterfeit jewelry's confiscated from the trembling neck, reducing the entire net worth down to a zero balance check. They arrived on the block looking like a supreme local king, but they leave the arena without a single material thing. My vocabulary is a surgical blade, dissecting the pride, revealing the terrifying cowardice that they attempted to hide. The bassline is thumping low like a heavy industrial drill, shattering the mental stability of the opponent on the hill. We reduce the opposition to the basic biological state, leaving absolutely nothing for the municipal task force to rate. The pride is vaporized as the structural reduction begins, ending the deceptive era of the fraudulent street wins. Yeah, the street life is a casino where the posers lose the shirt, leaving the fake warrior lying flat inside the project dirt. I name drop the ancient pharaohs who conquered the material trap, prioritizing the raw power of the mind on the territory map. They left the instructions written on the limestone wall frame, teaching the youth how to separate the substance from the game. Now the new general executes the anatomical purge tonight, illuminating the dark corridor with the aggressive lyrical light. The luxury of a fancy automobile is stripped from the garage, exposing the pathetic reality of the mainstream mirage. But we wrap our operational dominance in the sovereign design, bypassing the restrictions of the standard municipal timeline. The rival associates are scattering away from the sector zone, leaving their former captain to face the winter winds alone. Our frequency is too heavy for their fragile defense shield, shattering the matrix of the enemy on the concrete field. I lock the final vault door as the stripping process is complete, leaving the nameless ghost standing on the frozen asphalt street. The matrix is an illusion and the matrix wants the image bought, trapping the superficial mind before the ultimate lesson is taught. The flesh and bone concept is a permanent psychological shield, guarding the collective integrity on the concrete battlefield. Rugged, independent lyricism dropping like an iron anvil weight, shattering the fraudulent illusions of the occupying state. The rhythm of the low end is vibrating the foundation bricks tonight, exposing the weakness of the adversary to the public sight. I step away from the examination table as the audit is done, watching the total liquidation of the target under the sun. The ledger is clean and our tactical direction remains straight, bypassing the mental traps of the judicial checkpoint gate. We move past the empty remnants into the afternoon light mist, with another fraudulent industry title crossed off the master list. The block belongs to the warriors who mastered the anatomical grind, leaving the temporary material vanities of the pavement far behind. The decorations are gone instead, and the dynasty is destined to thrive, keeping the legendary spirit of the kingdom completely alive. Nothing left but the skeleton.
No logos or corporate branding can protect the name now.
The subtraction is total and final.
Let the beat fade out.
Rip the muzzle right off the face. The industry is completely silent. The streets are holding their breath because they fear the truth. Time to expose the entire landscape. Look, visualizing the landscape where the cowards choose to whisper low, unleashing the aggressive torrent that the fake fear to show. The unmuzzled manifestation is an absolute reality check, breaking the invisible chains wrapped tight around the neck. The industry is terrified of the unadulterated pavement sound, while the local street legends hide their faces in the ground. Yeah. They all talk about the currency and the imaginary weight, but they are completely silent on the corruption of the state. I stand alone in the center of the town square block, answering the dangerous ticking of the eternal judicial clock. My vocabulary is a blowtorch melting the political ice, exposing the corporate gatekeepers paying the dirty price. They want a smiling puppet who complies with the corporate code, but they inherited a tank rolling down a residential road. The bassline is thumping heavy like a wrecking ball strike, shattering every single synthetic illusion that the labels like. I look the opposition in the eyes without a trace of fear, bringing the raw, authentic truth exceptionally loud and clear. The street life is a casino where the silent sheep get sold, but the unmuzzled general demands the ownership of the gold. I name drop the ancient prophets who refused to bow down before the occupying forces arrived to capture the town. They left the warning scriptures carved in the prison brick, teaching the youth how to spot the institutional trick. Now the new operator stands tall on the concrete stage, channeling the collective fury of a generation in the rage. The luxury of a comfortable compromise is a total trap designed to freeze the development of the neighborhood map. But we wrap our vocal sovereignty in a heavy rugged coat, delivering the heavy sentences that the ancestors wrote. The radio programmers are shivering inside the office suite, knowing they cannot control the pure frequency of the street. Our intelligence is too sharp for their basic marketing plan, exposing the hidden cowardice of the industry, man. I accelerate the rhythm of the verbal assault tonight, illuminating the darkest corners with a blinding light. The matrix is a gag and the matrix wants the mouth shut, cutting the communication lines right at the very gut. The unmuzzled delivery is a permanent historical milestone, reclaiming the absolute authority of the independent throne. Rugged underground lyricism dropping like an iron anvil weight, shattering the fraudulent illusions of the municipal state. The rhythm of the low end is vibrating the concrete floor, fueling the fire of the ongoing aesthetic guerrilla war. I lock the megaphone secure as the truth is complete, ready to watch the realization spread across the asphalt street. The ledger is clean and our tactical direction remains straight, storming the corporate gates before they can calculate. We step out of the arena into the afternoon light mist, with another deceptive industry gatekeeper crossed off the list. The culture belongs to the warriors who master the raw grind, leaving the terrified whispers of the mainstream far behind. The silence is broken instant and the dynasty is destined to thrive, keeping the legendary spirit of the kingdom completely alive. The muzzle is gone forever, no filters on the microphone tonight. They can't handle the weight of the raw data. Let the beat fade out. Yeah. Flickering yellow light overhead. The ink is dry, so the lead must talk tonight. A crumpled paper bag holds the entire future of the kingdom. The midnight manifest drops now. Look, visualizing the concrete corner where the shadows extend, writing the rawest street scriptures with a broken pencil end. The midnight manifest is an unfiltered documentation of the block, answering the dangerous ticking of the eternal judicial clock. I lean against the cold metal fence under the buzzing light, pressing the lead deep into the grocery sack tonight. The paper is crumpled and stained with the industrial soot, but it captures the authentic journey of the traveling foot. The corporate elite are sleeping inside the penthouse suite, completely oblivious to the philosophy born on the street. Every single syllable scribbled is a tactical landmine designed to shatter the matrix of the municipal design. The bassline is thumping heavy like a heartbeat in the dark, guarding the creative process of the phantom patriarch. They want to suppress the voice of the housing project crew, but the written testament reveals exactly what we must do. I sharpen the broken tip against the masonry wall brick, accelerating the pace of the lyrical composition trick. The street life is a casino where the manuscripts get burned, but the alchemist preserves the wisdom that their ancestors learned. I name drop the old school pharaohs who wrote in this cell space, leaving their permanent thoughts on the institutional place. They left the instructions scratched on the metal food tray, teaching the youth how to navigate the darkness of today. Now the new prophet occupies the freezing corner asphalt floor, drafting the ultimate strategy for the aesthetic street war. The luxury of a fancy leather notebook is a vanity piece, unnecessary when the internal fire refuses to decrease. We wrap our literary sovereignty in a heavy rugged coat frame, ensuring the survival of the original neighborhood family name. The undercover task force is monitoring the intersection line, confused by the solitary figure tracking the master design. They think it is a simple transaction occurring in the mist, unaware that a global cultural revolution is on the list. I fold the paper bag tight and shove it in the pocket deep, while the rest of the civilian population is fast asleep. The matrix is a trap and the matrix wants the mind blank, trying to reduce the sovereign thought to a zero bank. The midnight manifest is a permanent psychological shield, guarding the collective interest on the concrete field. Rugged independent lyricism dropping like an iron anvil weight, shattering the illusions of the occupying municipal state. The rhythm of the low end is vibrating the foundation wall, preventing the sudden arrival of the structural financial fall. I secure the handwritten manuscript as the session is complete, ready to execute the vision on the municipal sector street. The ledger is clean and our tactical direction remains straight, bypassing the mental restrictions of the checkpoint gate. We step away from the flickering lamp into the morning mist, with another legendary street scripture added to the master list. The block belongs to the warriors who mastered the creative grind, leaving the temporary material illusions of the pavement behind. The pencil breaks instant and the dynasty is destined to thrive, keeping the legendary spirit of the kingdom completely alive. The bag is full of scriptures, they can't censor the raw lead on the paper. The manifest is officially locked into the history books. Let the beat fade out. Let the beat fade out.
Throw away the standard calculator. The corporate ledger makes no sense on the concrete. We rip up the textbook formulas tonight. Mutilated mathematics. Look, visualizing the rusted metal desk where the cash is split, remaking the financial equations of the neighborhood pit. The mutilated mathematics is a radical economic school, refusing to play the game by the standard Wall Street rule. We subtract the corporate greed from the daily asset gain and multiply the resources to ease the collective project pain. The banking institutions want to see the profit margin grow, while the children on the pavement suffer in the freezing snow. So we altered the percentages to favor the brotherhood tie, keeping the family fully operational under the city sky. Every single dollar earned on the dangerous corner space is reinvested in the survival of the sovereign local race. The bassline is thumping heavy like a ledger book slam, shattering the artificial traps of the corporate scam. They calculate the value by the digital credit score, but we measure the wealth by the loyalty in the war. I divide the revenue equally among the frontline crew, doing exactly what an authentic general has to do. The street life is a casino where the spreadsheets hide the theft, but the alchemist preserves the family that is remaining left. I name drop the old school pharaohs who rejected the contract trap, prioritizing the feeding of the soldiers on the territory map. They left the alternative formulas written on the brown back paper, teaching the youth how to survive the institutional paper vapor. Now the new generation occupies the accounting room floor, declaring a total mathematical war on the corporate store. The luxury of a corporate stock portfolio is a complete illusion designed to keep the independent mind in a state of confusion. But we wrap our financial sovereignty in a rugged leather jacket, bypassing the standard tax of the federal agency racket. The municipal task force is analyzing the local bank account, confused by the distribution pattern of the currency amount. They don't understand the logic of a selfless division plan, where the executive protects the life of the working man. I lock the cash secure in the floorboard area space, erasing the digital footprint of the transaction place. The matrix is a numbers game designed to make the worker sink, trapping the population in the pool of deceptive digital ink. The mutilated mathematics is a permanent psychological defense, navigating the fiscal terrain with an integrity intense. Rugged independent lyricism dropping like an iron anvil weight, shattering the economic illusions of the occupying state. The rhythm of the low end is vibrating the concrete wall, preventing the sudden arrival of the structural financial fall. I balance the alternative ledger as the calculation is complete, ready to deploy the golden resources on a sector street. The intelligence is clean and the sovereign strategy stays straight, escaping the restrictions of the judicial checkpoint gate. We step out of the office bunker into the afternoon light mist, with another commercial banking trap crossed off the master list. The block belongs to the warriors who mastered the survival grind, leaving the artificial equations of the corporate world behind. The old rules and broken instinct in the dynasty is destined to thrive, keeping the legendary spirit of the kingdom completely alive. Human life over the profit margin. The corporate logic doesn't apply to the block. The brotherhood is the highest value on the ledger. Let the beat fade out. Look.
Yeah. Inhale the vapor slow. The command center is completely hidden in the clouds, controlling the entire regional distribution network tonight. The Iron Lung Empire is fully functional. Look. Visualizing the master layout of the subterranean room floor, controlling the entire supply line of the industrial street war. The Iron Lung Empire is a masterclass in the silent rain, managing the network logistics through the middle of the pain. I sit behind a heavy steel desk in the hazy bunker space, blowing thick green clouds across the map of the market race. The air is completely saturated with the dense herbal medicine smoke, providing the perfect cover from the reach of the corporate yoke. Every single transaction on the pavement is monitored right here, ensuring that the operational blueprint remains exceptionally clear. The young runners are checking the coordinates on the digital grid, executing the exact maneuvers that the ancient ancestors did. The baseline is thumping low like a heavy industrial shield, guarding the financial assets of the concrete battlefield. They want to raid the facility and confiscate the cash supply, but they cannot locate the laboratory of the phantom spy. Yeah. The street life is a casino where the loud talking get caught, but the silent monarch practice is what the old masters taught. I name drop the original pharaohs who established the trade line before the federal task force disrupted the family design. They left the codes written in the grease on the furnace door, teaching the youth how to dominate the public housing floor. Now the new generation occupies the centralized smoke space, bringing the authentic sound back to the neighborhood race. The luxury of a legal business license is a corporate illusion designed to keep the independent mind in a state of confusion. But we wrap our sovereign power in the rugged leather jacket hide, maintaining the ultimate operational security deep inside. The undercover agents are circling the outer block perimeter line, frustrated by the complete invisibility of the family design. Our communication frequency is too complex for their monitoring gear, shattering the matrix before they even know that we are near. I pass the herbal medicine to the general on my right hand side, securing the complete dominion with absolute structural pride. The matrix is a web and the web wants to intercept the throne, trying to force the independent entity to operate alone. The iron lung empire is a permanent psychological defense wall, preventing the sudden arrival of the structural institutional fall. Rugged underground lyricism dropping like a heavy iron anvil block, answering the dangerous ticking of the eternal judicial clock. The rhythm of the low end is shaking the main foundation, brick bypassing every single deceptive government surveillance trick. I lock the final vault door secure as the inventory is complete, ready to distribute the premium currency on the sector street. The ledger is clean and our marketing strategy remains straight, escaping the arrival of the structural judicial checkpoint gate. We step out of the smoky chamber into the midnight light mist, with another territory sector officially added to the empire list. The block belongs to the alchemists who mastered the heavy grind, moving the temporary material illusions of the pavement behind. The smoke remains instead, and the dynasty is destined to thrive, keeping the legendary spirit of the kingdom completely alive. Yeah, the air is thick, but the vision is clear. The entire network answers to the bunker room. The rain stays undetected by the task force. Let the beat fade out. Look, yeah.
Take the shirt off. Look in the mirror under the dim bulb light. The skin is a historical document. Every mark tells a story of survival. Look. Visualizing the physical frame in the bathroom mirror reflection, analyzing every single mark with absolute forensic inspection. The scar tissue ledger is a permanent chronological timeline sheet, documenting every single tactical engagement. On the concrete street, I trace a long faded line on the left shoulder blade skin, remembering the exact when tonight the project wars will begin. A reminder of a close encounter with a jagged metal fence wire while escaping the sudden arrival of the municipal task force fire. Then I look at the rough burn mark on the forearm area space from an overheating engine block during a high-speed chase. Each imperfection is an entry in a biological book of the law, proving that the sovereign operator survived everything he saw. The bassline is thumping low like a heavy pulse inside the vein, validating the deep wisdom born from the physical pain. The state wants to classify the youth by a generic mugshot file, but my skin holds the authentic map of the structural trial. We don't need a written diary to remember the cost of the grind when the evidence is permanently etched on the body and mind. Yeah.
The street life is a casino where the weed gets torn apart, but the resilient warrior wears the armor of the street art. I name drop the fallen soldiers who didn't live to see the hill, leaving their unfinished chapters on the cold industrial steel. They left their memories embedded in the culture of the block, answering the predictable ticking of the eternal judicial clock. Now the new general stands tall with the laceration history, turning the survival of the violence into a mathematical victory. The luxury of unblemished skin is for the corporate executive elite, forcing the project dreamer to collect the stamps of the street. But we wrap our operational history in a heavy leather coat frame, refusing to let the physical trauma define the family name. The undercover detectives are checking the database network grid, hoping to find a match for the maneuvers that the battalion did. But they can't cross-reference the record written in the flesh, keeping the identity of the phantom sovereign completely fresh. I run my fingers over the final mark near the collarbone line, securing the absolute memory of the architectural design. The matrix is a meat grinder, and the matrix wants the body dead, trying to replace the living spirit with a tombstone instead. The scar tissue ledger is a permanent psychological defense shield, guarding the collective interest on the concrete battlefield. Rugged independent lyricism dropping like an iron anvil block, breaking the dynamic restrictions of the institutional lock. The rhythm of the low end is shaking the foundation masonry tonight, illuminating the dark corridor of the past with the brilliant light. I pull the heavy fabric shirt back over the wounded torso frame, ready to participate in the next phase of the siren game. The intellect is clean and the defensive posture remains straight, escaping the arrival of the structural judicial checkpoint gate. We step out of the apartment unit into the afternoon light mist, with another historical street battle officially added to the list. The block belongs to the alchemists who mastered the biological grind, leaving the temporary material illusions of the pavement behind. The wounds are closed instead, and the dynasty is destined to thrive, keeping the legendary spirit of the kingdom completely alive. The skin doesn't lie. The ledger is completely full of victories. We survived the fire, and we kept the foundation intact. Let the beat fade out. Look.
Yeah. Look at the front entrance. Massive iron chains hanging from the double doors. The city shut down, the only safe haven we had. The Padlock prison is real. Look, visualizing the brick facade where the youth used to gather round, staring at the heavy industrial chains that bind the ground. The Padlock prison is a monument to the municipal neglect, shattering the community spirit that we work to protect. The favorite recreation center is completely dead and dark tonight, under the freezing glare of the broken municipal street light. A massive steel padlock holds the main double door shut tight, forcing the neighborhood children back into the dangerous night. They boarded up the windows where the basketballs used to bounce, while the local politicians calculate the budget cut ounce. The gym floor is empty and the hallways are freezing cold, as another piece of our childhood history is being sold. The bassline is thumping low like a heavy industrial heartbeat drum, refusing to let the creative spirit of the block go numb. The state wants to close the doors to maximize the prison rate, trapping the next generation inside the nets of the state. I touch the cold metal links and I feel the structural pain as the freezing rain starts to saturate the pavement lane. Yeah. The street life is a casino where the public options fade away, leaving the young soldiers with no legal place left to play. I name drop the pharaohs who practiced the jump shot on this floor before they got drafted into the ongoing Project War. They left their names carved in the wooden benches inside the space of permanent historical archive of the siren neighborhood race. Now the facility is just a ghost ship in the middle of the block, answering the predictable ticking of the judicial countdown clock. The luxury of a community mental restrict from the zone, leaving the adolescent minds to navigate the system alone. But we wrap our operational resilience in a heavy leather coat, using the raw underground rhythms that the ancestors wrote. The undercover task force is patrolling the empty parking lot, hoping the close facility turns the sector into a drug spot. But we analyze the strategic geometry of the municipal play, finding the alternative avenue to educate the youth today. I put a hood tight against the sudden biting winter breeze as the shadow of the padlock stretches past the frozen trees. The matrix is a trap and the matrix is cutting the funding line, trying to force the sovereign community into a steep decline. The Padlock prison is a permanent reminder of the systemic war, demanding a higher level of intellect to settle the score. Rugged independent lyricism dropping like an iron amber weight, shattering the illusions of the occupying municipal state. The rhythm of the low end is vibrating the foundation bricks tonight, illuminating the dark corridor of the street with a brilliant light. I step back from the gated entrance as the evaluation is complete, ready to organize the battalion on the sector asphalt street. The ledger is clean and our tactical resolve remains straight, bypassing the mental restrictions of the checkpoint gate. We move past the barred windows into the evening light mist, with another shuttered youth facility added to the grievance list. The block belongs to the warriors who mastered the survival grind, leaving the structural limitations of the pavement far behind. The center is locked, instant in the dynasty is destined to thrive, keeping the legendary spirit of the kingdom completely alive. They can lock the physical doors, but they can never lock the mind of the youth. The building is frozen, the spirit remains free. Heavy iron links on the handles. The street becomes a classroom now. The battalion is watching the gates. Let the beat fade out. Fade out, fade out, fade out, fade out. Heavy iron links on the handles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Step onto the transit platform. Midnight on the subterranean line. The train is empty, but the car is full of spirits. Riding through the dark tunnels of history. Yeah. Look. Visualizing the cold steel rails with the electricity sparks, riding the midnight transit system through the deepest darks. The ghost train journey is a spiritual descent beneath the street, where the past and the present generation finally meet. I sit alone on the orange plastic transit car seat, listening to the heavy metallic rhythm of the engine beat. The train screeches loudly as it bends through the subterranean curve, testing the absolute stability of my psychological nerve. The flickering fluorescent lights create an eerie shadow play, revealing the phantoms of the street legends who passed away. I see the graffiti pioneers who painted the concrete walls before they got swallowed up by the institutional halls. They stand in the aisle wearing the vintage leather coats, whispering the ancient warnings that the ancestry wrote. The bassline is thumping like a heavy heartbeat in the train floor, guarding the legacy of the fallen from the corporate war. I look out the scratched glass window at the dark masonry wall, watching the history of the movement rise and fall. The street life is a casino where the travelers lose the way, but the midnight navigator uses the darkness to prey. I name drop the old school pharaohs who commanded the transit line before the federal task force disrupted the original design. They left their signatures carved deep into the train window pane, a permanent historical archive of the neighborhood pain. Now the new generation occupies the subterranean transit car, reflecting on how the lineage traveled exceptionally far. The luxury of a quiet commute is a total myth out here, demanding absolute sensory awareness to keep the vision clear. But we wrap our operational resilience in a rugged coat frame, refusing to let the environment erase the family name. The train accelerates past the abandoned platforms in the dark, where the old captains used to leave a permanent territorial mark. The operators up above are monitoring the signal light, unaware of the spiritual battalion moving through the night. I absorb the raw wisdom of the ancestors standing near, bypassing the mental traps of the immediate environmental fear. The matrix is a track, and the track is running underground, trying to trap the sovereign spirit inside the systemic bound. The ghost train journey is a permanent psychological shield, guarding the collective brotherhood on the concrete field. Rugged, independent lyricism dropping like an iron amphibweight, shattering the illusions of the occupying municipal state. The rhythm of the low end is vibrating the steel chassis tonight, illuminating the dark tunnels with a brilliant internal light. I prepare to exit the vehicle as the transit station is, conquering the collective burden of the historical fears. The intellect is clean and our tactical resolve remains straight, escaping the arrival of the structural judicial checkpoint gate. We step off the train platform into the morning light mist, with another successful midnight journey added to the list. The block belongs to the warriors who mastered the transit grind, leaving the terrifying illusions of the pavement far behind. The phantoms vanish instant, and the dynasty is destined to thrive, keeping the legendary spirit of the kingdom completely alive. The doors open slow at the final stop. The platform is empty, but the message is clear.
The ancestors ride with us on every track.
Let the beat fade out.